The older man, whose name was Anderson, looked at them and said, "From now on, you work for me." The three girls looked at each other. Anderson continued, "We spent a lot of money to bring you here. Visa, passport, tickets, all that must be paid back." "How?" Gozi asked, her voice shaking. Anderson smiled. "You will work on the street. Men will pay you. That's how you will repay us." Zara's heart dropped. She had heard of such things before, but she never thought it would happen to her. The rain poured heavily that night in a quiet village in Nigeria. Thunder rolled in the sky and lightning flashed now and then. Inside a small hut made of mud bricks, a woman named Neka screamed in pain. She was in labor, trying to give birth to her first child. Her husband, Mr. Okeke, paced outside the hut, barefoot with his hands shaking. He had been praying all day, asking God to protect both his wife and the baby. Hours passed. The midwife and two elderly women worked hard inside the room. Mr. Okeke waited, soaked by the rain. Then, just before dawn, the door creaked open. The midwife stepped out with a tired face, carrying a baby wrapped in an old cloth. "The baby is alive," she said softly. "But your wife, she didn't make it." Mr. Okeke's heart broke into pieces. He fell to the ground and cried like a child. The rain couldn't wash away the pain in his soul. He held the baby in his arms. She had tiny fingers, bright eyes, and a quiet face. He named her Zara, which means blossom, a symbol of hope born out of sorrow. Raising a baby alone was hard. Mr. Okeke tried his best, but as months passed, the struggle became too much. He worked as a farmer and also did carpentry jobs to survive. With no one to help him care for Zara, he decided to remarry. He hoped a new wife would bring peace and help raise his daughter. 1 year later, he married a woman named Selina. She was young, fair-skinned, and well-spoken. Everyone in the village said she was lucky to marry a widower with a baby. At first, Selina acted kind. She smiled at Zara, carried her on her back, and cooked sweet meals for Mr. Okeke. Life seemed good for a short time. But soon, things changed. Selina gave birth to a baby boy named Chika, and from that moment, everything shifted. Zara, now just 3 years old, was no longer treated with care. Selina began to push her aside. She stopped feeding her properly and stopped helping her with her clothes. Mr. Okeke noticed it, but every time he tried to speak, Selina would twist her words and cry. "You don't love me," she would say. "You only care about your dead wife's child." To keep peace in the house, Mr. Okeke kept quiet. He started spending more time at work. And little by little, Zara was forgotten. When Zara turned 5, Selina began to give her house chores. She cleaned the floor, fetched water, and washed plates. If she spilled water or broke a cup, Selina beat her with sticks or slippers. Zara cried, but no one listened. Her father was no longer the man who once held her at night. He had become distant and cold. By the time Selina had her second child, Amara, Zara was 8 years old. She was now responsible for taking care of both children. She would bathe them, feed them, and carry them on her back when they cried. Selina treated Zara like a maid, not a child. In school, Zara was quiet. Her clothes were always old, her sandals worn out, and her lunch bag empty. Her classmates made fun of her sometimes, but the teachers liked her because she was calm and respectful. She never complained. She just did her work and kept to herself. One day, her teacher, Miss Tola, asked, "Zara, are you okay at home?" Zara looked down and nodded. "Yes, Ma," she whispered, but deep inside, she wished someone would save her. After school, she went to the market to sell vegetables. Selena gave her a tray of tomatoes and onions to sell every day. Sometimes the sun was too hot, and sometimes it rained. But Zara kept walking and shouting, "Tomatoes! Onions! Buy fresh ones!" When she returned with little money, Selena would slap her and say she was lazy. On many nights, Zara went to bed hungry. She slept on a thin mat near the kitchen, while the rest of the family slept on mattresses. She had no toys, no friends, and no happiness. Zara became used to pain. She stopped asking for food. She stopped crying. She started writing letters to her mother in her mind. "Dear Mama," she would say silently, looking at the stars, "I wish you were here. I miss you. I don't know what I did wrong, but everyone hates me. Please watch over me." One evening, while returning from the stream with a bucket on her head, she sat under a tree to rest. A stranger, an old woman with gray hair and kind eyes, saw her. "My child, you look tired," the woman said. "I am," Zara replied softly. "You have a strong spirit," the woman said. "Never forget that. One day your story will change." Zara didn't fully understand what the woman meant, but her words stayed in her heart. Selena's wickedness grew worse. She stopped giving Zara proper clothes. She made her walk barefoot. If the children made mistakes, she blamed Zara. She shouted, "You are a curse. I should have sent you away long ago." Zara stopped defending herself. She focused on surviving each day. She woke early, worked hard, and slept late. She prayed silently, hoping for a better life. One day, while walking home from the market, she met a man named Agu. He smiled at her and said, "You look smart. Are you interested in traveling out of Nigeria?" Zara looked at him with wide eyes. "Yes," she replied without thinking. He nodded. "I can help you. You will live in Europe, work and make money. Life will be better." That night, Zara couldn't sleep. Her heart raced with thoughts of leaving the pain behind. Could this be her chance? She didn't know it yet, but this man would change her life forever. And so, Zara's story began to shift. She didn't tell anyone, not even her father, not even the woman who mistreated her. Zara woke up before the sun rose. The house was still dark and quiet. She folded her old wrapper and placed it neatly beside the firewood stack where she had slept. She moved like a shadow, afraid to make noise and wake anyone. She lit the stove and began boiling water to bathe her stepmother's children. Her hands moved quickly. Years of doing chores had trained her to move like a machine. She boiled water, swept the compound, fetched clean water from the clay pot, and cleaned the children's slippers before anyone opened their eyes. When the children woke up, she helped them bathe and wear their school uniforms. Chika and Amara never said thank you. They simply complained if anything was missing. Still, Zara smiled as she packed their school bags. She was used to it. Selena entered the kitchen just as Zara was serving breakfast. Her eyes were sharp and full of suspicion. "You didn't warm the soup well last night," she said coldly. "It was sour this morning. Do you want to poison us?" Zara looked at the floor. "I'm sorry, Ma." A hard slap landed on her cheek. "Sorry for yourself," Selena said and walked away. Zara rubbed her face. The pain stung, but what hurt more was the look in Selena's eyes, hatred, pure and bitter. After everyone had eaten and left for school or work, Zara sat outside on a small bench, nibbling on a leftover piece of yam. That was her breakfast. She thought about the man she met the day before, Agu. He said he could help her travel to Europe. "You will work there," he had said. "You will earn money. You can start a new life." Agu had spoken with confidence. He wore clean clothes, carried a phone, and looked like someone who had seen the world. He even spoke English differently, with a rhythm Zara had never heard before. His words stayed in her heart. That night, when everyone slept, Zara sneaked outside and walked to the same spot she met Agu. He was waiting under a mango tree. "You came," he said with a smile. "Good girl." Zara stood with her arms crossed. "Are you sure I'll be safe?" "Yes," Agu said. "I will take care of everything. You don't need to worry. I'll arrange your documents, passport, everything. In a few days, you'll leave this village and start your new life." Zara nodded. Her heart was beating fast. She had never left her village, never been in an airplane, never imagined a life outside of what she had. But her soul was tired. She wanted peace. "Don't tell anyone," Agu added, "not even your father. It could ruin everything." "I won't," she said. The next few days moved slowly. Zara worked harder at home so no one would suspect anything. She cleaned every corner of the house, fetched extra water, and even helped Selena with her market goods. Selena noticed the change. "What's wrong with you?" she asked. "Why are you behaving like this?" "Nothing, Ma," Zara replied quickly. Selena eyed her but said nothing more. 2 nights before her trip, Agu brought her a small bag, a bar of soap, toothpaste, 2 new tops, and a pair of jeans. It was more than Zara had ever owned in her life. "Don't pack too much," he warned. "Only carry what I gave you. You won't need anything else." Zara thanked him. That night, she didn't sleep. She sat quietly near the window, watching the moon. Her heart was confused. Part of her was scared, but another part whispered, "This is your only chance." When the final day came, Zara cleaned the house like she always did. She fed the goats, washed Amara's socks, and swept the backyard. No one noticed anything strange. She acted like it was a normal day. By 11:45 p.m., she was fully dressed. She wore one of the new tops Agu gave her and carried the small bag on her back. She tiptoed to the door, pushed it open, and stepped outside. Her father was snoring in the next room. Selena and the children were fast asleep. She didn't look back. She ran quietly through the village path and reached the junction. Agu was already there, waiting in a small bus. Inside were 4 other girls. They looked young, nervous, and quiet. Zara entered and sat beside a girl who appeared to be crying. The journey began. They drove through the night, passed many towns, and reached a big city. From there, they were taken to a house filled with girls like them. Some were from the north, some from the east, and others from villages Zara had never heard of. A woman gave them food and told them to rest. "You're safe now," she said. "Soon you'll fly to Italy." Italy. The name sounded like a dream. True to Agu's words, after 3 days, they boarded a plane. Zara had never seen an airport before. Everything was big and shiny. People moved fast, and the announcements confused her. Agu handed her papers and told her to just follow the group. Zara sat by the window and stared as the plane took off. The ground became small and the clouds surrounded them. She held her bag tightly and whispered, "Mama, I'm flying now. I hope you're watching me." After many hours, they landed in Italy. The air felt different. The cars moved fast. The roads had no potholes. Zara was in a new world, but the joy didn't last long. They were taken to a building with tall gates and big locks. Zara and the girls were told to stay inside and not go out. "This place is called camp," one woman said. "You'll rest here for a while before starting work." "What kind of work?" Zara asked. The woman smiled strangely and walked away. Zara felt something wasn't right, but she was too far from home to turn back. At night, she lay on a soft bed for the first time in her life, but she couldn't sleep. Tears filled her eyes. She had left the pain of home behind, but she was not sure if she had entered a better place. She whispered, Mama, I hope I did the right thing. Outside the window, the city lights blinked. Zara's journey had only just begun. Zara stayed in the camp for days. It was a big house with many small rooms, one television, and metal bars on the windows. They said it was for safety, but Zara noticed that no one was allowed to leave. The front door was always locked, and someone always watched them. The girls were not free. Every day, more girls arrived. Some looked younger than Zara. Some looked confused. No one explained what was happening. They were given food, clothes, and even new phones. But something didn't feel right. Zara shared a room with two girls, Ngozi and Blessing. Ngozi was from the east, just like her, and she cried often. Blessing, from the south, was quiet but always watching. "Have they told you what work we will do here?" Zara asked one night. Ngozi shook her head. "No, but my cousin in Lagos said girls like us work in shops or homes here." Zara wanted to believe that. She wanted to believe Agu's words. He had promised a good job. He had said life in Europe was better. He had smiled and told her she was lucky. But deep inside, Zara felt something was wrong. On the fifth day, a black car drove into the compound. Two men stepped out. One of them was Agu. The other was taller, older, and wore dark glasses. He looked serious. "Girls!" one of the women shouted. "Come out! You're going with them!" Zara, Ngozi, and Blessing were called out. The rest of the girls watched from the balcony. Zara held her small bag tightly. They entered the car and drove for hours. The city lights became fewer. The streets became quieter. Soon, they arrived at a quiet place near the port. Large ships stood in the distance, and containers lined the sides of the road. This is not a workplace, Zara thought. They entered a house with iron doors and no windows. Inside, the air was cold. The older man, whose name was Anderson, looked at them and said, "From now on, you work for me." The three girls looked at each other. Anderson continued, "We spent a lot of money to bring you here. Visa, passport, tickets, all that must be paid back." "How?" Ngozi asked, her voice shaking. Anderson smiled. "You will work on the street. Men will pay you. That's how you will repay us." Zara's heart dropped. She had heard of such things before, but she never thought it would happen to her. Blessing stepped back. "We didn't agree to this." Anderson snapped his fingers. Two guards entered the room. "You can cry, fight, or run. It changes nothing. You owe us money. You will do what we say." Zara couldn't speak. She was trapped. That evening, they were taken to small rooms. Zara sat on the bed, her hands shaking. Tears rolled down her cheeks. This was not the dream she left Nigeria for. This was a nightmare. Night came quickly. Zara couldn't eat. She lay on the bed, thinking of her father, her mother's face, her school, her prayers. Everything felt so far away. Around 9 p.m., a man came into her room. He wore perfume and smiled too much. He held her hand. "Let's go," he said. "Where?" she asked. "You're coming with me." Zara followed him outside. The street was cold, and the wind blew hard. She had never felt this scared in her life. As they reached the gate, the man stopped and said, "Wait here. I forgot something. I'll be right back." Zara stood still. Then something inside her moved. Run! Her legs started before her mind could catch up. She dropped her bag and ran as fast as she could. She didn't know where she was going. She just ran. She passed streets, alleys, and buildings. The sound of barking dogs made her run faster. Then she saw it, the port. Men were loading goods into a big ship. They didn't notice her. She hid behind a truck, then crawled between boxes and slipped into the cargo area. It was dark and smelled like oil and salt. She found a corner and squeezed herself in. Zara's heart beat like a drum. She didn't know what she had just done. But anything was better than being used. Back at the house, Anderson was furious. "Where is she?" he shouted. The man who was with her stammered. "She was just here. I just went back for a second." "You fool," Anderson roared. "She could ruin everything." Guards searched the area but found nothing. Meanwhile, inside the ship, Zara remained hidden. She didn't eat or sleep. She stayed still, praying no one would find her. The ship began to move. Zara had no idea where it was going. She just held on. Hours turned to days. She drank water from a leaking pipe and ate leftover fruit from open boxes. Her stomach hurt, her body ached. But she was free. From Anderson, from Agu, from the pain of being sold. One morning, the ship stopped. Voices rose. People shouted in a language she didn't understand. The container opened. Light poured in. Workers screamed. One of them had seen her. "Hey, who is this?" Zara covered her face. Two men dragged her out. She kicked. She cried. She begged. Then a voice said, "Wait." A man stepped forward. He wore a clean shirt and glasses. He spoke calm English. "Who are you?" he asked. Zara looked up. "Please, don't hurt me. I'm from Nigeria." The man looked surprised. "Nigeria?" He told the workers to step back. "My name is Mr. June Park," he said. "I own this shipment." Zara sat on the ground, too weak to speak. Mr. Park helped her up and took her to a small restaurant near the port. He bought her rice and chicken. She ate slowly. Tears rolled down her cheeks. When she finished, he asked gently, "Tell me everything." And so Zara told him her story, from losing her mother, being mistreated, meeting Agu, the trip to Italy, Anderson, and her escape. Mr. Park listened carefully. When she finished, he nodded. "You're safe now," he said. Zara looked at him. "Where am I?" "Korea," he replied. Zara gasped. Korea. She had never even heard much about the place. But somehow, she had arrived. Far from home. Far from pain. She didn't know it yet, but her new life was about to begin. Zara sat quietly in the small restaurant near the port, still holding the plate that once had rice and chicken. It had been a long time since she ate a proper meal. Her body was tired, her clothes dirty, and her heart still full of fear. But for the first time in many days, she felt safe. The man who rescued her, Mr. June Park, sat across from her with a soft, gentle look on his face. He was neat, kind, and different from every other man Zara had ever met. "You are very brave," he said in clear English. "Many girls wouldn't make it this far." Zara looked down at her hands. "I didn't know where the ship was going. I only ran because I was scared. They wanted me to become something I didn't agree to." "I understand," Mr. Park said. "You were lied to." Zara nodded. "They promised a job in Europe. They said I would work in a shop or help in people's homes. But when we reached Italy, everything changed. They locked us in a house. They said we must pay back money by sleeping with men." Mr. Park leaned forward. "Who are they?" "There were many of them. Agu brought me from Nigeria. Then a man called Anderson took over in Italy. He said I owed them for papers, flight, food, everything." Mr. Park sighed and shook his head. "This happens a lot. I've heard many stories like this, but don't worry. You are safe now. I won't let them find you." Zara's eyes filled with tears. She had never met a man who cared. She didn't even know people like Mr. Park still existed. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. "You can call me June," he said with a smile. After the meal, Mr. Park drove Zara to a quiet house on the outskirts of the city. It was not too big, but it was clean and peaceful. A small garden stood in front, and 2 cats sat near the stairs. "This is where I live," he said. "You can stay here for now. My family is kind. They will welcome you." Zara didn't know what to say. She had expected to be chased away or sent back to Nigeria. But this man was opening his home to her. "Are you sure?" she asked. "Very sure," he said. "You've been through a lot. You need rest, food, and peace. My mother and sister are inside. They will help you." As they entered the house, a woman in her 50s stepped out of the kitchen. She wore an apron and had a warm smile. Mr. Park spoke to her in Korean. The woman looked at Zara and nodded gently. "That's my mother," he said. "Her name is Mrs. Park. She doesn't speak much English, but she is very nice." Soon, another girl walked in from the hallway. She was about Zara's age and wore jeans and a hoodie. Mr. Park introduced her as Haejin, his younger sister. "Hello," Haejin said, smiling. "You can stay here. I'll help you settle in." Zara couldn't stop saying, "Thank you." Her heart was full. For the first time in her life, people were treating her like she mattered. That night, Mrs. Park gave her clean clothes, a warm bath, and a bowl of hot soup. She slept in a soft bed with clean sheets and a fluffy pillow. As she lay down, tears ran down her face, not from pain, but from relief. She whispered into the night, "Mama, I'm safe now. Thank you." Days turned into weeks. Zara began to heal. The bruises on her heart started fading. Mr. Park helped her get checked at a hospital. She was healthy, just very tired. Every morning, Mrs. Park gave her breakfast, and Haejin helped her learn some Korean words. Zara was a fast learner. She picked up greetings, numbers, and basic sentences in just a few days. Mr. Park watched her from a distance. He saw how hardworking and respectful she was. She cleaned the house without being asked. She helped in the kitchen. She smiled often, even though she had many reasons to cry. One evening, Mr. Park sat with her on the balcony. "Zara," he said, "what do you want to do with your life?" Zara looked at the sky. "I want to go to school. I want to read books and become someone important." Mr. Park nodded. "I can help you, but it will take time." "I'm ready," Zara said. "I'm not afraid anymore." Mr. Park smiled. "You are strong." The next day, he took her to a language school. It was a place where people from other countries came to learn Korean and improve their English. Zara joined a small class. She was shy at first, but she listened well and worked hard. Mrs. Park and Haejin supported her every step of the way. They bought her notebooks, pens, and even new clothes. Zara's skin began to glow. Her eyes became brighter. She was changing, not just outside, but deep inside. Months passed. Zara became a new person. She could now speak both English and Korean with ease. She started wearing nice clothes, taking care of her hair, and walking with her head held high. She often helped Haejin at the restaurant their family owned. Customers liked her polite nature and sweet smile. One night, as Mr. Park watched her serve a customer, he felt something strange in his heart. He had brought her in as a stranger, but now she was part of his world. He didn't say anything yet, but his heart was beginning to see Zara in a new way. Back in Nigeria, Zara's father had noticed her absence. At first, he thought she had gone to visit a friend, but days turned into weeks, and there was no sign of her. "Where is Zara?" he asked one morning. Selena rolled her eyes. "She's a big girl. Maybe she ran away to chase her luck. Leave her." But Mr. Okeke felt something was wrong. He went to the village square. He asked the neighbors. No one had seen her. He walked to the church. He cried. "I should have protected her," he said. "She's my daughter." Selena, on the other hand, didn't care. With Zara gone, she had full control of the house. Her two children did as they pleased. Chika no longer listened to anyone. Amara had become rude and lazy. The home had lost peace. But far away in Korea, Zara had found a family, love, and hope. Zara woke up to the sound of birds singing outside the window. The soft sun filtered through the curtains, warming the room gently. She lay still for a moment, smiling at the peace that now lived inside her heart. Gone were the nights of hunger and fear. She was in a new place, far away from pain. She got out of bed and went into the kitchen. Mrs. Park was already there, stirring a pot of porridge. She turned and smiled at Zara. "Good morning," Mrs. Park said in her simple English. "Good morning, Mama Park," Zara replied, bowing slightly, just like Heijin had taught her. After breakfast, Zara helped clean the house. Then she sat with Heijin to practice Korean. She could now read and write simple words and was learning fast. Later that afternoon, Zara joined Mr. Park at his small warehouse where he sold household goods. She helped him count items, sort boxes, and even welcomed customers. "You work like someone who has owned a business before," he joked. Zara smiled. "I've been working all my life. I just never got paid." Mr. Park looked at her and said softly, "That will change now." That evening, they walked home together. As they walked, Zara saw a group of girls about her age, laughing and talking. They wore school uniforms and carried books. Zara watched them with quiet longing. "I want to go to school like them," she said suddenly. Mr. Park paused. "You can?" Zara looked at him in surprise. "Really?" "Yes," he said. "You're smart, and education is important. I will help you." The next day, Mr. Park took her to a private school that accepted international students. The principal welcomed her warmly after hearing her story. Zara was enrolled in a special class to help her catch up. On her first day, she sat in the classroom feeling nervous. But when the teacher called her name and gave her a math question, she answered it correctly and with confidence. The teacher smiled. "Well done, Zara," she said. The other students clapped. Zara's heart swelled with pride. It was the first time in her life someone had praised her in front of others. Weeks passed. Zara became one of the best students in class. Her teachers loved her and her classmates respected her. But while she was learning and growing in Korea, things back in Nigeria were falling apart. Mr. Okeke, Zara's father, was not the man he used to be. He sat in front of his house every day, staring into space. He missed his daughter deeply. Since the day she left, his home had changed. Selena had taken full control of everything. She no longer respected him. Her children, Chika and Amara, had become rude and lazy. They shouted at their father and disobeyed rules. Chika often returned home late at night. Amara skipped school. Neighbors whispered about the family. That house used to be peaceful when Zara was around, they said. Mr. Okeke tried to discipline his children, but Selena always stopped him. "You had your chance. You spoiled your first daughter. Look at where that got you." He grew weaker each day. He stopped going to his farm. He started drinking palm wine just to sleep at night. One day, a neighbor named Mama Neji came to visit. "You need to look for Zara," she said. "I don't even know where she went," he replied sadly. "You're her father. She might still be alive. Praying you would come for her," Mama Neji said. He thought about that all night. He remembered how Zara used to bring him water when he returned from work, how she helped in the farm, how she never complained no matter how hard things were. "I failed her," he whispered. Meanwhile, in Korea, Zara's world was getting brighter. She had started a part-time job at a small bookstore near their house. She arranged books, cleaned shelves, and helped customers. The owner loved her gentle voice and kind heart. One evening, after work, Mr. Park waited outside the store to walk her home. As they walked, he handed her a small wrapped box. "What's this?" she asked. "Open it," he said. Inside the box was a beautiful pen with her name engraved on it. Zara. Her eyes filled with tears. No one had ever given her something so thoughtful. "You are writing your story now," he said. "This is just the beginning." Zara hugged him tightly. "Thank you for believing in me." Mr. Park's feelings for Zara had grown quietly over time. He never said it out loud, but he admired her strength, beauty, and heart. His mother noticed. So did Haejin. One night, Mrs. Park spoke to her son in Korean. "She's special. If you love her, don't wait too long." Mr. Park smiled. A few months later, Zara graduated from her course with the highest grades in her class. The school held a small ceremony, and Mr. Park's entire family was there to celebrate. After the event, as they walked through the park, Mr. Park stopped and looked into her eyes. "Zara," he said softly, "you've changed my life. You brought light to my family. I would be honored if you became my wife." Zara was silent for a long moment. Her heart was full. She had never thought someone like him would want her, but looking into his eyes, she saw truth. She saw love. "Yes," she said, "I'll marry you." They hugged, surrounded by the falling leaves of spring. Back in Nigeria, Mr. Okeke sat under a tree in front of his house. He heard a car horn but didn't look up. He thought it was just another neighbor. But when the car door opened and a woman stepped out in a fine dress, he froze. "Papa," the voice said. He looked up and dropped his cup. It was Zara. But this was not the Zara he remembered. She was glowing. Her skin was smooth, her clothes were fine, her smile was bright. Behind her stood a tall, handsome man, Mr. Park. He bowed slightly. Mr. Okeke stood up slowly. "Zara, is it really you?" Zara ran into his arms. "I'm home, Papa." He broke down in tears. "I thought I lost you. I looked everywhere. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "I forgive you," she whispered. Selena came out of the house and stood speechless. Her mouth hung open as she stared at the rich car, Zara's beauty, and her foreign-looking husband. The children stood behind her, too shocked to speak. Zara looked at Selena and said, "I'm not here to fight. I just came to forgive and to show you what love can build." Selena bowed her head in shame. I didn't know what I was doing. I treated you badly." "I know," Zara replied, "but I've moved on. God gave me a second chance." The next week, Zara and Mr. Park held their traditional marriage in the village. It was the talk of the town. The hall was decorated with flowers. Musicians played sweet songs. People wore their best clothes. Many couldn't believe that the same girl who used to sell tomatoes in the market was now the bride in a grand wedding. Even Selena's children, now broken by their own actions, watched quietly as Zara danced with grace. Zara walked up to her father and placed her hand in his. "You will live with me now," she said. "You deserve peace." Mr. Okeke nodded with tears in his eyes. That night, as they drove back to the city, Zara looked out of the window and whispered, "Mama, I did it. I'm free." And deep in her heart, she felt the peace she had always prayed for. The day after the traditional wedding, Zara and Mr. Park boarded their flight back to Korea. Her heart was full. She had left Nigeria as a scared girl, but now she was returning to Korea as a strong woman and a wife. She held her husband's hand as the plane took off, watching the land below disappear slowly. "Are you okay?" Mr. Park asked, looking at her. Zara smiled. I'm more than okay. I feel free. When they landed in Korea, Mr. Park's family was already waiting at the airport. His mother, Mrs. Park, hugged Zara tightly and said, "Welcome back, my daughter." Zara felt tears in her eyes. These people had accepted her when she had nothing. Now they were standing with her as family. Jean, her sister-in-law, danced playfully and said, "Now you are officially Mrs. Park." They all laughed. Back at their home, a small welcome celebration was held. Neighbors and friends came by with gifts. Some brought flowers, others brought food. Everyone was happy for Mr. Park and his beautiful wife. People whispered good things about Zara. They admired her strength, her smile, and her gentle nature. "She doesn't talk much, but her presence is powerful," one woman said. Zara continued helping in the house, just as she always did. She cooked meals, cleaned, and helped in the family's business when needed. But now, she had a bigger dream. One morning, as she served tea, Mr. Park looked at her and asked, "Do you want to start something of your own?" Zara looked surprised. "You mean a business?" "Yes," he said. "You have ideas. You know fabrics, colors, and style. You love African fashion. Why not open a store?" Zara thought for a moment. "I would love that. I've always wanted to do something big, something that belongs to me." "Then let's do it," he said. Over the next few weeks, they worked together. Mr. Park helped her register the business name. They found a small shop in the heart of the city. Zara picked the colors, decorations, and items to sell. She named the shop Zaza Styles, a mix of her name and style. Zaza Styles sold African fabrics, head wraps, and handbags. Zara also designed simple dresses using African and Korean patterns. People loved it. Koreans, Africans, and tourists all visited her shop. "Where did you learn to match colors like this?" one customer asked. Zara smiled. "From pain, from joy, from life." The business began to grow. Zara hired 2 workers, one from Ghana and the other from the Philippines. She treated them with love and respect. Her workers called her big sister. One day, a quiet girl entered the shop. She looked lost and weak. Zara noticed the bruises on her hands and her frightened eyes. The girl didn't speak much but said she was from Nigeria too. Zara took her into the office, gave her food, and listened to her story. She had come through the same route Zara had escaped, tricked by a man who promised her a good job in Europe. Zara held her hands and said, "You are safe now." She called a local NGO that helped victims of trafficking. They took the girl in, gave her medical care, and later helped her return home. That night, Zara sat in bed and cried, not out of sadness, but out of gratitude. "I survived so I can help others," she whispered. Mr. Park hugged her. "You are a light to many." As weeks passed, Zara continued to speak with young girls in the community. She visited schools and churches, telling her story. She told them to be careful, to ask questions, and to never trust strangers with promises that sound too good. "Your life is precious," she told them. "Protect it." Back in Nigeria, Selena heard about Zara's business and her marriage. She tried to act like a changed woman. She sent messages through neighbors asking for forgiveness. "Tell Zara I want to speak to her," she said. But Zara sent a calm reply. "I have forgiven her already, but I am no longer that little girl she used to beat. I will not open my doors to trouble again." Mr. Okiki, her father, spoke to her sometimes through phone calls. He had moved to live with Zara's uncle, far away from Selena's madness. He was getting better. Each time he spoke to Zara, he said, "I'm proud of you, my daughter." One quiet morning, Zara stood before her mirror. She looked at herself, taller, stronger, more beautiful. She was no longer the hungry girl from the village. She was a wife, a business owner, and a voice for many. She decided it was time to visit her mother's grave. Zara flew to Nigeria quietly with Mr. Park. They went straight to the village and walked to the bushy part where her mother, Neka, was buried. Zara cleaned the area, placed fresh flowers, and knelt. "Mama," she said, "your daughter made it. I went through darkness, but I found light. I wish you were here to see it. But I know you're watching. Thank you for being my guardian angel." Mr. Park stood behind her, holding her shoulders. "She would be proud of you." Before they left Nigeria, Zara visited her old school and gave scholarships to 3 girls who had lost their parents. She told the principal, no child should stop school because of pain. When they returned to Korea, something unexpected happened. Zara began to feel weak. She was always tired, and her appetite changed. One afternoon, she visited the hospital. The doctor smiled after the checkup. "Congratulations," he said. "You are going to be a mother." Zara froze for a second. "A mother?" she repeated. "Yes," the doctor said. "You're 2 months pregnant." Zara's hands flew to her stomach. She couldn't believe it. She ran home, tears of joy in her eyes. When Mr. Park saw her, he asked, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" She smiled through tears. "I'm not sick. I'm pregnant," he gasped. "You mean we're having a baby?" "Yes," she said, laughing. He picked her up in joy, dancing around the living room. That evening, they sat in the garden. The air was cool and the stars were bright. Zara placed her hand on her belly. "I never thought this day would come," she said. Mr. Park held her hand. "You deserve all the joy in the world." Zara looked at him and smiled. "This child will grow in love, not pain." The wind blew gently, as if the heavens were smiling down on them. Zara's journey had not been easy, but it had led her to peace, purpose, and now motherhood. Zara stood on the balcony of their home, holding a cup of warm tea. The sky was painted in soft colors, pink, orange, and blue, as the sun began to rise. Her baby bump was now clearly showing. She gently rubbed her stomach and smiled. "Good morning, my little one," she whispered. "Mama is ready for you." Her life had changed so much in just a few years. The scared girl who once ran through the streets of Italy was now a woman with peace, love, and strength. She had faced storms, but she survived. Now, she lived in sunshine. Inside the house, Mr. Park was setting the table. "Come eat," he said. "You need your strength." Zara joined him at the table. As they ate, he looked at her with eyes full of pride. "You know what I was thinking?" he said. "What?" she asked with a small laugh. "You should write a book. Share your story. So many girls out there need to know they are not alone." Zara paused. A book? She had never thought of that. "I wouldn't know where to start," she said. "Start with your name," he replied. "Zara, the girl who escaped darkness." Later that day, Zara took a walk to her shop. Business was going well, and her workers greeted her with excitement. "Madam, your story is in a blog," one of them shouted. "What blog?" she asked. The worker showed her a post on the internet. It was a short article about Zara's fashion shop and how it helped bring African culture into Korea. Her story of survival was briefly mentioned, and the writer called her a true queen. Zara smiled. It wasn't just about clothes anymore. It was about courage. That evening, she sat at her desk and wrote the first line of her story. "My name is Zara. I was born into pain, but I rose into power." The next week, Zara and Mr. Park were invited to speak at a youth event. The theme was Dream Beyond Your Limit. Zara wore a beautiful Ankara gown. As she stood on stage, people looked at her with admiration. Her voice was calm and clear. I didn't have a mother growing up. I didn't have love. I had nothing but pain. But even pain has purpose. I held on to hope, and that hope led me here. The audience clapped loudly. Some wiped their eyes. She was no longer just Zara. She had become an inspiration. Months passed quickly. Zara finished writing her book and titled it Escape to Grace. It was published in both English and Korean. People across the world read it and sent her messages of support and gratitude. Young girls wrote to her, saying, "You gave me hope." Others said, "Your story saved me." Zara answered every message with love. Back in Nigeria, Mr. Okike, her father, sat under a mango tree reading her book. He had aged, but his heart had become soft again. Tears rolled down his face. "She is my child," he whispered. "My precious child." Selena, now alone and ignored by the same children she spoiled, read about herself in the story. She covered her face in shame. One morning, Zara got a call from Nigeria. "Papa is not feeling too strong," said a neighbor. Zara booked a flight and traveled down with Mr. Park. When she reached the village, her father was lying on a bamboo bed. He looked weak, but when he saw her, he smiled. "My daughter, you came." Zara held his hand. "I will always come. You're my father." "I'm proud of you," he whispered. "Forgive me for everything I didn't do." Zara kissed his hand. "I forgave you a long time ago." She stayed with him for a few days. She cooked his meals, sat with him in the evenings, and told him about the baby growing inside her. He laughed and said, "May the child be strong like you." Before she left, he blessed her. "Go in peace, my daughter. Your story will live forever." Back in Korea, Zara gave birth to a baby boy. He was healthy, with bright eyes and a calm face. They named him Chimsu, a name that mixed both Igbo and Korean meanings. God's blessing and light. The house was filled with joy. Mrs. Park danced around the living room. Haejin sang lullabies to the baby. Mr. Park cried as he held his son. "Our family is complete," he said. Zara looked at her baby and whispered, "You will never feel the pain I felt. You will grow in love." As months passed, Zara continued to grow her business, speak at events, and help young women escape dangerous situations. Her home became a safe place for those in need. People called her Mama Zaza, not because she was old, but because her heart had become a shelter. One evening, as she watched the sunset with her baby on her lap, she smiled and said softly, "Mama, I kept my promise. I made it." The wind blew gently, as if carrying her mother's love from the sky. And so, Zara's journey came full circle, from pain to peace, from being broken to becoming whole. Her past did not define her. Her strength shaped her future. And her name, Zara, would forever be remembered, not as a victim, but as a victor. Lesson from Zara's story: no matter how painful your beginning is, your future can still be beautiful. Never stop believing in yourself. What looks like the end might just be the beginning of something greater. Keep holding on, because one day your story will inspire others. And with that, my dear friends, our story come to a close, but remember, the magic of storytelling lives on, waiting to whisk us away on new adventures, where the wonders of imagination know no bounds. Goodbye for now, and may your dreams be filled with joy, wonders, and endless possibilities. Thank you so much for watching. Please kindly comment, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting stories.